This is Brian from A Lazarus Soul, the upside down Robert Smith, and you are watching Tower Recommended.
After Mass at the record store was our first blast of Peter, Bunny and Paul, blaring out at a stereo. Someone had opened the black ark of the covenant.
So I've picked some really cool vinyl. So this is Heart of the Congos, 1977. The star of this is the voices, Cedric Moyton and Ashanti Johnson. There's a name for you. Imagine having a name like Ashanti Johnson. Open up the gates of Zion. Boris Gardner, you know Boris Gardner, I Want to Wake Up to You, that really bad 80s single. He played bass on this, but he played bass on a lot of great reggae stuff. No one would hear music unless they went to the sound systems, so they were like street parties. You know, they were playing records from America, and then they realised that if they made their own records, they could make a fortune in Jamaica, so they started studios. So Studio One was one of them, which was Cox and Dodd, and you had Lee Scratch Perry and Prince Buster. I could be wrong, but I think Prince Buster and Lee Scratch Perry were quite tough, so I think maybe Cox and Dodd got them for security to begin with, and then they seen what he was doing. But when they were making records themselves, then they started their own studios, and the Black Ark was Lee Scratch Perry's studio, and this is what this came out of. This is the only record on my gaff, and I put it on, no one complains. My wife and my daughter don't complain, so this is our Sunday record. No home record. Kim Gordon, Sonic Youth, absolute hero of mine. What I love about Kim is she never compromised. So I think she's 67. She's working with a producer called Justin Reason, who's done like a lot of great stuff, Lizzo and Sharon Van Etten and stuff. She's the most recognisable voice. I put her up there with Marky Smith. I put her up there with Tom Waits, maybe Lou Reed as well, and the most recognisable voice in modern music. But she never compromised. So, you know, a lot of, Morrissey let us down. I still love the Smiths. I don't buy into this cancel culture thing. I still love the Smiths. It doesn't, people change. I think every maybe 10 years people are a different person, and I don't think it should ruin your Smiths for you. But she has never let us down, and I don't think she will. I think this is the most cutting edge thing she's ever done. It's the most complete thing I think she's ever done. She does this amazing thing where she does this really intense, claustrophobic thing where it's kind of scary, and then she goes into this kind of summer Kim Gordon voice that she would do it on Sonic Youth as well. And I love what Justin does on this record, where he takes the squalling kind of Sonic Youth guitars and he samples it and makes it really contemporary. Paprika Pony on this is like, it reminds me of Drop It Like It's Hot by Snoop.
What am I? Just not a girl. A woman.
She does what Tom Waits does and makes it sound like the coolest thing in the world. Like, I always look at when he's doing beatboxing and he's doing hip hop, and it's not someone trying to stay relevant. It's it's the coolest thing in the universe. What other 67-year-old? You know what I mean? That is one of the most risque kind of records I've heard, and she's 67, and it just restores my faith that one of my heroes can go. There's no compromise on it at all. Like, you know what I mean? It makes me, that's the kind of stuff that I find, not necessarily that you want to sound like that, but that's the kind of thing that you kind of go, keep going. You know what I mean? Make something when you're fucking 67 that sounds as cool as that. You know? I love her. Goddess. Played. This is the record that got me through lockdown. So it came out 2019. These are a duo in work, and I love electronic music, probably because I write lyrics. I'm always thinking of lyrics, and so when I listen to music, I listen to a lot of not electronic, but I listen to a lot of instrumental music, and it just sounds like nothing else. there's a magic, like to me in music, what I look for is like I get up, we live in a great country, you get up in the morning, you want something to lift you, you want something like, as I listen to a lot of reggae music, it brings you somewhere sunny or somewhere tropical, or I'm not a morning person, but when you get up and you put on something like this, to me this is like alchemy, it's like magic. Music is fucking magic, it transports you. And you know, like film, you're looking at something and you're immersed in it, and you kind of leave yourself. Books, you kind of as well, you leave yourself. But with music, it can enhance your morning. So you can get up in the morning and have breakfast, and this can make breakfast amazing. Do you know what I mean? So it's grey, it's a terrible day, and then you put on this, and all of a sudden you're happy, and you're still in the same realm, but this makes it magical. So glad. This is Clark. So I think he's from Hertfordshire in England. To me, he's like the might be Valentine of electronic music. He's amazing. So I came across him on his 2014 record Clark. He did another album called Dead Peak, which is brilliant as well. The best thing I can say about this fella is I don't know what he's doing. So you listen to a lot of electronic artists and you kind of hear Albaton, or you can kind of hear certain keyboards. But this fella just takes, especially vocal samples, and he just brings them to another place, and you kind of go, what is he doing? This was a soundtrack to Channel 4 series, a 4-part series called Curie. He did the music to it, and then he went and remixed it. On Dead Peak, he has these voices, and it's kids, and they're singing, "We are your ancestors," and it's the most fucking sinister thing I've ever heard. But it comes back in on this with just he warps it so you can't actually hear the words. And it's the most sinister thing ever. Like that, look at it go. This is amazing. You know, people pay good money to go to Amsterdam or to Thailand to kind of feel like this record makes you feel on a Tuesday night. It's brilliant. Peasant. Richard Dawson. This blew my mind when I heard it. It's just the best record. So I keep saying that there was no folk influences because I was listening to reggae all through the making of the D, but this blew my mind. It really did. I don't like virtuosity, but this fella on the guitar, it's like his fingers fall off the guitars when he's playing it. I think he down tunes all the acoustics. So I'm not a musician, but it sounds like that the guitar is down tuned, so it sounds really messy, and he's like an old blues guitar player. But the layering of vocals, the density in the sound of this record is mind blowing. Ogre is one of the singles off it. I think this is supposed to be set in 400 Common Era to 600. I think it is. Someone tweeted that he sounded like a group of drunk men tuning up, which he kind of does. For me, like, I sing loud on the bus. I don't even notice, or if I'm walking my dogs, I fucking find myself actually, I get so excited by this record that I find myself singing my head off in the street. So this is an absolute masterpiece. Come to this. So I was 14 and I was UTV and I heard Beautiful Ones by Prince. I was switching channels. I wasn't allowed to watch Purple Rain, and I was on UTV and I was switching channels and the Beautiful Ones came on, and I just was smitten by him. Man Love.
Your hair. Could I make you breakfast sometime?
I can sing all the guitar solos in this. I can sing all the keyboard parts in this. It was his best band. I mean, Prince, one of the greatest, most talented people that ever walked the face of the earth. You know, this and Stop Making Sense is probably the two greatest music movies ever. Although I think this is better. And they have Parliament Funkadelic in common, because I think Funkadelic, some musicians from George Clinton played on Stop Making Sense as well. I had cancer when I was 14, and I went to see this in the screen, and not owning a DVD back in that time in 1988 was it wasn't DVD, it was a video, but owning that thing back then was you know, you wouldn't own something like this. But I had cancer, and I was in hospital in the Mater, and my brother brought in he bought this for me on I think it was on video, and it was the greatest gift ever. It was worth getting cancer to fucking and surviving. Honestly, that's how much that meant to me. And my sister went into Extra Vision and got the cutout of Prince, that actual cutout in Finglas. They had that Prince cutout, and she brought it into me, and I was almost worth it. That's how much I love this. Greatest gift ever. And then I just spent the next year convalescing, watching this, and I know every guitar solo. Last thing is Proud to Martyr. So I think, actually, I need to say, there's a couple of amazing Irish releases this year. Joe Chester, who is our guitarist and producer, has released Jupiter. Jupiter's Wife is a double album. It's got some members of the Water Boys on it, and it's mind-blowing. I think it's album of the year. Gemma Dunleavy is blowing my mind. Have you heard that? Up the Flats.
Yeah, I've heard over.
It needs to be number one forever. Shouting up the flats from the rooftops. It's mind blowing. Go listen to that. Miriam Ingram is releasing an EP as well, and it's so amazing. Go check out that video. Nina Hines has an album coming out called Zap, and there's a Whirling Hall of Knives EP called Sabre coming out. So these are all Irish stuff coming out. And coming to this is another great album, one of the greatest of the year. Proud to America, Ultimate Success Today.
They got the job when they came back to town.
This is definitely the album that I was most looking forward to coming out. I think your man's name is Joe Casey. It was really late in his life when they hit big. I think he was maybe in his late 30s or something. He's in his 40s now. But I think he's amazing. This reminds me of kind of like Whipping Boy. I went to see Whipping Boy just before Heartwarming. They were just the greatest band on the planet. We have the greatest band on the planet now at Lankham. But this is what Whipping Boy sounded like live before they released Heartwarming. I love Submarine. His lyrics are absolutely mind-blowing. I think he's one of the greatest lyricists on the planet at the moment. Processed by the Boys is a single off this that reeled me in. I love their I think the last album's called Relatives in Descent, and it's an incredible record. I think this is probably album of the year. It's incredible. This is the band I most want to see after lockdown finishes, but absolutely amazing band. You have been watching, I still am Brian Brannigan, the upside down Robert Smith from A Lazarus Soul, but you have been watching Tower Dublin Music Recommends. It's been a pleasure.
Mother fell in the lap of luxury, still tells of the day they handed her the keys. Second floor palace, the long balconies, they did a little dealing in the shade. Still of the cops and priests they were afraid. They hung their washing out.